This is going to be a quick vid on prices and wages and where prices and wages come from. If this is being posted as a video response to you, it is clear that you do not understand what prices and wages are. If you don't understand what prices and wages come from, you will be perpetually baffled and will fall for all sorts of statist bromides. Alright, here we have price and quantity. Here's the supply curve. As something gets more expensive, more people are willing to sell it. This is because people sell things and they want to make money selling things. Here's the demand curve. As the price of something goes down, people want to buy more of it. For example, have you ever been to a supermarket where you see something on sale for really cheap and you want to buy it just because it's so cheap? That's what happens with demand. As the price goes down, the more quantity people are willing to buy. This is the opposite of supply. The lower the price, the less people are willing to sell something. Everyone wants to sell high and buy low. The sellers and buyers eventually agree upon a price. This is why a loaf of bread at the supermarket doesn't cost $100. The supermarket would love to sell the loaves of bread for $100 each, but if they tried to do so, they wouldn't sell any bread. Would you buy a loaf of bread for $100? No, and if one supermarket tried to sell for $100, everyone who wanted to buy bread would just go to some other supermarket. This is why competition is so important. Wages work the same way. In this case, the worker is actually selling himself. So in case of labor, the worker is the supply and the employer is the demand. And the employer and the employee negotiate some wage. This is how wages come about, just like prices. If the employer decides to pay 1 cent an hour, nobody will work for him. If the employee demands to work for $1,000 an hour, and let's just assume he's your average slob with a high school diploma, then he won't get hired by anyone. And so the employer and the employee, through negotiation, agree on a going wage. And on a free market, both parties must agree. There's nothing nefarious about this. What happens when you put in a minimum wage? It's very simple. Less people get employed. Sure, the average wage will rise, but that's because less people are earning any wage. Because a minimum wage is saying that it is illegal to work for less than a certain wage. So if you want to work for $3 an hour, that is illegal. Maybe you do want to work for $3 just to get work experience so then you can be promoted and move up the ladder and eventually earn a living wage. But with a minimum wage, that is illegal. And your employer could get thrown into prison for doing that. Now, for very skilled workers like a doctor, the going rate is higher than for some college kid. And so the doctor will be able to negotiate a higher wage than the college kid. And by negotiate, I don't mean that the employer and the employee will sit down and haggle personally, just that the employee will look through all the classifieds and seek out the best deal. And no, cartelization is not sustained long run on a free market. The railroad robber barons charged cartel rates because of land grants, and Standard Oil always lowered prices, and when Standard Oil was broken up, its market share was actually falling. Standard Oil was not behaving like an exploitative monopoly.